right, guess who has increased their prices? You ready for this? This is the true test of the economy. You see that? You see that? This is the new dollar store. You don't see any...
Folks, you recognize those shelves? Does that look familiar? Those price tags? That's the Dollar Tree, folks. I was there. Well, I was there recently, but I first started noticing the $1.50 items over a year ago. Remember, it was $1. Shortly after the health crisis and all that, it went up to $1.25. Now $1.50. When I was in there, it was only a few items, but it looks like it's most of the items on the shelf here.
$1.25 products, do you? This is it.
Wow. Look at that. Pretty much everything in this whole row. $1.50.
Went from $1 to $1.25. And I think it was here 2 days ago. It is now $1.50. If you do not know, inflation is up and it's going to skyrocket because of tariffs, because of his horrible economic policies. Please do not buy anything that you do not need. Please don't use paper towels, use rags. Don't buy any furniture, don't buy a car, don't buy anything. We are now paying a tariff anywhere from 10%.
Wow, don't buy anything, she says. Don't buy paper towels, use rags. I mean, do you agree with that? Is it that time? At some point, you have to fight back against the rising prices. If people just keep on paying whatever, and it's only from $1.25 to $1.50, not a huge deal, but you have to draw the line somewhere. So do we as consumers need to just say we're checking out of the game, we're not buying anything unless we have to have it, right? But then it doesn't do any good if everybody doesn't do it, because if only a few thousand or even a couple million people do it, you got another 100 million people still paying whatever. They don't care what they're going to pay. So then, of course, prices are still going to keep rising because you still have a lot of people out there paying full price. All right, folks, so we're going to get into more of that, the usual stuff: inflation, cost of living, the crisis, the financial crisis that so many millions of people are suffering right now, the burnout from work, people choosing not to buy certain things now. They just have to cut things out, like coffee. We're going to hear from that in a little bit. And we've got some other economic news on the other side later on in this video. But let's watch a couple more people, and I want to kind of review and react to some of these people that are putting this information out there. And just to let you know what I'm doing, I'm watching these videos for the first time, so it's sort of a reaction type of thing, what some of these people are saying. Then before I publish it, sometimes I have to go back and scrub out some of the bad words here. So hopefully they'll be clean and I won't have to take too much time here. But take a listen to this.
The cost of living keeps going up, and here are some things I had to cut out of my budget to adapt. So to start off, I stopped getting my lashes done. I used to get lash extensions once a month, and it was about $120 each month. Now I just do...
She gets her lashes done every month, and it's $120, folks. She should have cut that out years ago. Years ago. Normally I don't drink on camera, but I've got it's just soda. But I've got the hiccups right now. Might be able to hear him a little bit. She's got $120 a month for lashes, folks. Girls, ladies, maybe some men, don't get the lashes. We can tell they're fake. They're way too big for your eyes, and they're too dark and they're too thick. And maybe there's some out there that I didn't know were fake because they're so convincing. I didn't know. But I see many times a day people with these fake lashes. You're not fooling anybody. And to spend $120 to only look like you got fake lashes, I mean, to me, that's insane. But let's finish up to what she's talking about here.
With my natural lashes, I have a serum that I use, which is like $30, and it lasts me for about 4 months. So that's why my lashes are a little bit longer than what they used to be. When I was getting my extensions done, they used to be really short. My real lashes used to be really short, and they were like non-existent. The second thing that I cut out of my budget is my hair. I stopped doing my hair. As you can see, you can kind of see a little bit of a line for where my natural hair is versus where all the dyed hair is. I was blonde for a couple of years, so on the bottom you can really see the bleach of my hair. And that was really expensive. I used to spend like $200-300 every 3 weeks to maintain the blonde. After the blonde, I went brunette, which you can kind of see in the middle of my hair. And then from there, I started doing like box dye black, I was redhead for a little bit. I did a box dye cherry hair color, and now I just
All right. She went through a lot of different hairstyles. I believe she said $200 a month though. The audio is a little bit low on this, so we'll try to turn it up a little bit.
chop. My hair is very dead and just a million colors, but that's something that I had to cut.
So we have to talk about it, folks. If you can live without it, then do it. If you want to take the advice of the person that we heard from saying don't buy anything unless you have to, you don't have to have hair. You can shave it off. And nobody's going to do that. I mean, maybe 1 in 10 million people would actually do that. But someone worried about their looks to change their hair color 4 or 5 times is never going to go to like chop their hair off.
My budget.
Even though it would save money.
Another thing I cut out of my budget was my nails. I stopped getting my nails done. Right now, I'm letting them grow out, my natural nail. But I do my nails at home. I have like the kits and all that stuff. I typically do nail extensions. I do gel X at home. But right now, I'm trying to let them grow out. And I didn't do any designs this time around because I was lazy. The last thing that I cut off was buying new makeup. I'm the type of person that gets
It's all beauty stuff. Hair, nails, eyelashes, makeup.
influenced very easily. So whenever there's a new product being advertised, I was always the first person in line to buy it. Now I don't really buy new makeup like that anymore unless I'm out of a product, or I use more like drugstore makeup rather than like the designer makeup at Sephora or Ulta or anything like that. I just typically go to Target and get maybe e.l.f. But honestly, nowadays e.l.f. is getting a little bit more expensive too, or like drugstore makeup is getting a little bit more expensive too. But whatever, I use mainly drugstore makeup now, and I always use it up until the last drop, and then I buy a new product.
Folks, she didn't even give the prices on those other things, but just the eyelashes and the hair was over $300 a month. Imagine if you factored makeup, and what was the other thing she talked about? All right, the eyelashes, the hair, the makeup. What was the other thing? Oh, the nails. And she had to get them done every month. So if you factor those things in there, is it $400, $500 a month that some people are spending just on these beauty things? I mean, that's a car payment. That's a nice car. You know, $400 or $500 a month, and that's probably on the high side. I wouldn't imagine that that's typical for the person that does all those things, but maybe I'm wrong. I mean, please let me know down in the comments if that's typical or not. And would you cut those things out? Would you just go to short hair and not wear any makeup and not wear any added stuff? I mean, come on, we know it's fake, guys. When we see the big long nails with different designs on them, we know that's not your natural. We know that's not your natural nails. And obviously, I don't think people would think they were fooling anyone with little designs on your nails, like little hearts and stuff. But we know it's fake. We know you're trying to look better than you probably are. And nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, if you really are trying to get a person or a mate or get someone to like you, they're going to see what you look like in the real world, or they're going to see what you look like behind the makeup, so to speak, at some point. So why are you trying to look like something you're not? Cut it out, right? Just cut it out. Cut the expenses out of your life. Save money. And I think you'll be happier in the end. All right, here's another one. Talking about work burnout.
You go to work, you clock in, you making somebody else, because don't nobody want to work no more. No, we can't find good help. That ain't it. First of all, you right. Nobody wants to work anymore, but can you blame them? You get up, you go to work, you clock in, you making somebody else rich. Not only are you making somebody else rich, you're barely making enough to maintain your life or maintain financial stability, because when you do get paid, you have to disperse.
Making someone else rich, that's true. Big companies, when they make more profits, what do? Give people more raises? You might get a bigger bonus, but most of those profits go into reinvestment, companies buying back their own stock, for example, higher pay for the CEO. You know how that goes.
So much money throughout the month that you're left with crumbs. And what do you have to do with those crumbs? You have to make those crumbs last to the next paycheck. Now, who is in the rush to do that? Not to mention, the companies damn near don't even care about you. If you pass away today, they will have you replaced tomorrow, and they probably ain't gonna send no flowers to your funeral, okay? Out finding good help. Nobody wants to get up and work in this country when we are getting paid crumbs. A lot of us, if you are a millennial and older, I know you tired. I know your body hurt. I know that you are exhausted from punching that clock. I am 38, about to be 39 in exactly 30 days. I've been working since I was 14. All these young kids have to do is look at a millennial and see how tired we are and understand what they have to look forward to.
Millennials are tired. What about the people in their 40s and 50s and 60s still working?
And they don't have to look very far, because a lot of the kids that's 16, 17, 18 years old, their parents are millennials. So they can hear their mom and daddy talking about how tired they are. They can hear their mom and daddy talking bad about the jobs and about the workforce or whatever. Like, they can see the struggle, unfortunately. So why would they go and clock in and give that company 100%? They know better. And I'm so glad they know better, because had I known then what I know now, I would not have been a worker bee at such a younger age. I would have figured out some other shit. And not to mention the millennials that just have so much student loan debt that even if you get the best job you can find, you're going to be...
People can't pay their student loans. They can't do it. And even if they can, they're not gonna. They're gonna go out and have fun and party instead of paying their student loans. That's just the way it is, because it's not like a car note where you're gonna lose your car. You already got the education, hopefully, if you graduated. But you already went to the school. That's done. So they can't repossess that, but they can repossess your car and you can get kicked out of your house. So obviously people are going to pay their car note and their house payment and their rent, but not their student loans for the most part.
You're paying those student loans for the rest of your life. It's a trap. It's all a trap.
Wow. It's all a trap, she says. She says it's all a trap. I think more and more Americans I see are coming to that conclusion, that it's all a trap.
Of cultural conditioning and this cycle, and that's not an insult to me.
Cultural conditioning. So you're just going along because everybody else is doing the same thing.
So many people told me to be grateful, suck it up, this is how life works, it is the way it is.
And basically, to give you the background on this, she was complaining about how much everything costs, how much you have to work, how there's no financial freedom, that the time off is not worth the work, and that you have to work until you're 65. All right, we'll continue.
But grateful for what? Go to school, get a degree, and bury yourself in student debt. Save all your money to buy a house you'll never actually be able to afford. Work 40 years of your life just to enjoy a few years at the end. I don't know, I'm done calling burnout, exhaustion, debt normal, living for the weekends and your 2-week holidays. Like, that is not normal. So I booked a one-way ticket. This type of freedom doesn't come with a blueprint or an instruction manual, but it's freedom. And I'm going to go do it while I'm young, because the real is waiting until 65 to start living.
Wow, she's checking out. She bought a one-way ticket. I don't know if that was literal or not. We'll check with her other videos and see if she actually is leaving the country to move someplace with the lower cost of living. But usually with the lower cost of living, there comes other problems and consequences, right? If you look around the world, you can see that just because a place is cheaper to live doesn't mean it's going to be better, right? That's the sad truth about that. All right, we got someone showing us their grocery bill. They say, what a joke. Take a look here. No sound on this one. $150 for that stuff. Wow. I'm just playing it back. That's not much for $150. It also depends on where you shop. If you shop for your groceries at Target, you're going to be paying way too much. I like Kroger, Aldi, and Grocery Outlet. I love those stores. For groceries. I mean, I think they have the best deals. Even Walmart, if you go to the stores that have the grocery store, the Walmart locations that have grocery, good prices. You've got to keep an eye on the quality, but definitely good prices out there. Cheaper than what this person paid that we just saw in this video, $150. It seems like you could have got all these things for probably half of that price somewhere else, right? But maybe I'm wrong. I mean, let me know what you think down in the comments. All right, people, we got one more, then we're going to get into some news on the other side here. Take a listen to another individual.
America, we are in stagflation and greedflation. Prices are going up, pay is stuck, corporations are cashing in, and you can't even afford to live. See, stagflation means the cost of living rises while wages stay flat.
I thought the stagflation definition was a little bit different, but I get what she's saying totally.
And greedflation is when corporations use inflation as an excuse to raise prices even higher while they're breaking in record profits while you struggle to pay your bills. So what do? We fight back with discipline. Only buy what you need.
There's another one saying the same thing. Only buy what you need. So that means she needs to not do her hair and shave it off because you don't need the hair, right? Well, you can argue you need it, right? If you want to look like you want to look, then you need it. So it's a matter of opinion on what you need, right? Somebody's going to say you need this. Other people say you don't need it.
Cook your meals at home. Cut out processed foods, carpools, or share rides. Split housing costs. Remove.
Some people will say they can't carpool because whoever else is going to where they're going is not going there at the same time, right? Unless it's somebody you work with and you work the same exact shift and you're not going to be making other stops before and after you get to work, then you can argue that you don't have to do that, but it may be inconvenient to do that. Same thing with eating fast food. Some people say you don't have to eat fast food. You can always cook at home. Not always. Some people are in such a rush, they have to do fast food. That's why they call it fast food. You can go to the drive-thru. It's convenient. But these fast food places are raising their prices to ridiculous levels as well. All right, let's continue.
Roommates or family if you can. Reduce everything that drains your wallet. Plan weekly meals. Take control of your money. Don't let these corporations steal your hard-earned cash. If you can live without it, you don't need it. The media won't tell you this, but we don't need them to. We already know. And if this continues, America will slide into a recession. And all this price cutting with rent subsidies leaving, it's going to get worse. But here's the truth. Before things change, the people must step into their power. And that power starts with refusing to play their game. So if you can live without it, don't buy it.
If you can live without it, don't buy it. Cut it out. Get rid of it. Will enough people do that to make a difference? Probably not. Like I've said before, when the credit cards finally stop increasing the ceiling, the credit ceiling, and the limits, that's when you'll see the real economic crisis unfold. There could be a bigger thing that happens to make it unfold. Just look at 2020. Just look at all the different situations that have popped up over the past few years that bring the markets down, that bring the economy down. You know, that type of thing can happen anytime. Black swan event type of thing. But back to what she was talking about, I'm not sure if enough people would get together and just say no and stop purchasing things to really make a difference in the cost. And I think that's the scary part to a lot of people. Where does it end? And if you look around the world and look at history, we see other countries have faced inflation that never stopped all the way into hyperinflation. And what they did is they devalued their currencies, right? They just tried to make the problems go away by creating more money, by making it easier for people to borrow money, which just created more debt, which causes more inflation, and making it easier to spend and get loans, more inflation, prices go higher. And it seems like that's the only solution that's being put out there right now, which is not going to work. So things, unless something big changes the trajectory here, it's just going to get worse. It's going to get more expensive. In 2008, we saw the banks almost failed. And that's something that caused the markets to come down. Home prices came crashing down. The cost of living came down temporarily. But ever since then, it's been lend and spend and pretend. And prices haven't really pulled back at all. Right? Inflation has slowed. But that just means prices are still going higher, just at a slower pace than before. Prices are still going higher, folks. Inflation's still over 2%. And why don't we just go ahead and dive into it here real quick here. The last inflation print that we received was for July, 2.7%. Now, of course, people will look back at 2022 and they'll say, well, it was up 9% and higher, and 8% and 7%, so it's lower than it was back then. But look, folks, just go back a few months. Let's go back to right here on the screen. August 2024, it was 2.5%. So we're higher than we were in August 2024. September 2024 was 2.4%. We're higher than that. October was 2.6%. Folks, we're higher than we were then. So things are getting worse. And it may be lower than what it was at the beginning of 2025. So, of course, people trying to make it look like things are getting better will just point to 2025 and compare it to right now. But historically, these are not good numbers. This is not good inflation. Go back to pre-2020, right? It was normal to be upper 1%, low 2%, right? Normal is never coming back. What used to be normal. And somebody would say, define normal. What is normal? Normal is always changing. Anyways, let me know what you think about our people today that we talked about. Just cut out the cost, stop doing your makeup, stop doing your hair, stop doing your nails, all those unnecessary things, the fake lashes that we can all see. I mean, let me know what you think about this, the inflation numbers, all that good stuff, people. Thanks everybody for watching. As always, keep stacking. Bye for now. Peace.